Hello and welcome to this video. I'm going to work through the November 2017 SQL questions so that you can see exactly the thought process and how I go about answering them. So, the files required can be found in the folder name section A. Please complete your work in this folder. I've already opened the database. You should have TBL portfolio open, and I have started a query. Right. A school has chosen its leaders and assigned leaders to a particular portfolio within the school. Not all leaders have been assigned a portfolio. At the end of the first term, the leaders' ability to fulfill the requirements of their portfolio have been rated by staff and learners. In each portfolio, the number of learners who are involved in a portfolio are listed. Most portfolios fall under a larger section, such as sport or culture, and some of the leaders are boarders. The data is stored in a table called TBL portfolio in a database called LeaderDB. So we've got our portfolio's ID, that's just our ID field, that's going to be a primary key, I imagine. Text field portfolio, a text field section, which is the general area of the portfolio, I imagine. Then we've got lead name, which is a text, date of birth, staff rating, student rating, number of learners, those are all numbers, and then finally a Boolean value border. So, display the portfolios in section fields sorted alphabetically by section and then by portfolio. So, I've got basically four types of statements. I've got select, insert, delete, and update. I'm going to use an insert if I want to put new information into a table. I'm going to use a delete if I want to delete information from a table, and I'm going to use update if I want to change the information in a table. I'm doing none of those things here, so this must be a select. So, display the portfolios and section fields. So I just want section and portfolio. So select section, comma, portfolio from TBL. Let's space it out a bit. It's not necessary, but it makes it a little bit easier to read. Portfolio, order by section, comma, portfolio. And let's run this. Okay, so I want it alphabetically by section and then by portfolio. That's alphabetical. That looks cool. So let's go back to SQL View and we can copy that and I can paste it into my answer sheet. Let's pull my name in. Okay, I'm just going to adjust the mic to move it out of my way of my hands a bit. Right, so that was a relatively straightforward one, simple. See, and you should have your summary for your SQL notes here somewhere. So you should have the summary of what in your textbook, the summary of the basic queries. I think it's near the end of one of the chapters. I think it's near the end of the second SQL chapter in your practical textbook. I don't have it up here, but you should have that there, and you can see the basic thing of select and so forth. Right, list the leaders whose staff rating or student rating is above 3 and who have more than 20 learners in their portfolio. So, staff rating or student rating is above 3 and more than 20 learners in their portfolio. So, we're going to need a where statement now. So, I need to restrict first off the columns I want. So, I only want the leaders. It doesn't say anything about listing the leaders and their staff rating or student rating. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to go select. And the leaders, I imagine that would be leader name. Select leader name. Let's just check that's the right field. Yeah. Select leader name from TBL portfolio. Let's see if we're right so far. Cool. I'm getting all the leader names. Now what I want is I want them only here if their staff or student rating is above 3. So let's go try that. So if I want to restrict which rows get returned, I need a where clause. So where staff rating is greater than 3 or student rating is greater than 3. What I can do just for the purposes of testing, I can quickly, let's just shove in staff rating, comma, student rating. I'll take those out in a second. This is just to help me test. So I can see everyone here. Okay, so Ahmed's got, Ahmed is higher on both. Taran's higher on both. Well, they're two Tarans. Well, whatever. Other Taran is higher on both. Jacob is higher on both. Frank is higher on students, but not on staff, so he's selected. Padke, the opposite way around. Cool. So it seems to be working. Let's go back and let's just get rid of those before I lose marks for them. Right, now this is the bit where everyone went wrong, actually, in the exam. And more than 20 learners. That's number learners. Number learners. Let's run that. Okay, I can't see anything, so let's put the staff rating in. And this is wrong, by the way. Hopefully it's going to give me some incorrect answers. Okay, so we can see over here, and it hasn't. What I'm going to do is, okay, this is going student rating. Okay. 5146. I just need here we go. Here we go. Perfect. Perfect. This is perfect. Jared. Look at Jared, for example. So this is only supposed to, so student or staff has to be of 3, cool, and they have to have more than 20 learners. Whereas over here, if you look at Jared, so he's got the staff rating above 3, student rating above 3, but his number of learners is 16. The reason for that is because the order of operations goes not and or. Okay, so what's happening is it's doing student rating greater than 3 and number of learners greater than 20 first. And you can see over here for Jared, where is Jared? Jared is over here. 4 and 16, that's returning false. And then it's ORing it with the staff rating greater than 3, and so we're getting Jared erroneously. So what I want to do is this OR has to happen first. Okay, so I want it has to be one of those, at least one has to be over 3, and the 20 has to be greater than 20. So I need to put this in brackets here, because otherwise it ORs staff rating greater than 3 with student rating greater than 3 and number of learners greater than 20, which is not the criteria. So now let's run this. And there we go. You can see Jared is no longer here. In fact, have we missed a few? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many did we have initially when we had the incorrect one? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's a couple where it returned. There we go. Jamel and Temba as well returned erroneously. And you can see, even if we did something like this, if I cut this, even if I said, okay, well, let's do the number thing first, and I run this, I'm still getting the wrong ones, because now they've got, now what's happening is it's going number of learners greater than 20 and staff rating is greater than 3, or student rating. So whichever way you want to put it, you have to put this in brackets, and you can see as you run it, now it's only giving us where the learner is greater than 20. Okay, but it's also, again, it's not insisting that both ratings have to be greater than 5, which is what we want. Cool. So now that I've done that, select everything and paste it in my answer sheet. Okay, so let's take a look at question 3. Determine the age of each leader in years. Ensure that the age is accurate. If a person has not had a birthday, their age should be 1 less. For example, Ahmed is not his birthday and should be 17, even though he was born in 1999. This is the 2017, so Ahmed is going to be 19. And for some reason, my monitor is just turned off. Okay, back on again. Not that you saw anything, but I would have had to, wouldn't have been able to continue. Name this new field age. Display only the leader's name, date of birth, and age in years. Do not display an age if there is no leader for a portfolio. Okay, so let's take this one step at a time. So first thing, I want name, date of birth, and age. So select leader name, comma, dob, and then I want the age. So to get the age, you might think you can just do the following. You can say, well, let's take away the number of years that we have now. So you could say the year now minus the year of the date of birth. Let's just run that. It's not leader name, it's, oh, I'm an idiot, from TBL portfolio. Okay, you have to select from a table, otherwise it doesn't know what you're doing. So there we go. And the problem with this, you can see over here. So Jason has had his birthday because 15th of February, he's 20. Whereas Ahmed has not had his birthday, because he's only born the 28th of December, but it's still listing him as 20. So we can't just look at the years. So the way we do this is we use what's called the date diff function. Okay, so over here, in MS Access, date diff, then you choose what kind of interval we want to look in. Then you choose the first date, the second date. And then over here, if you're doing something with weeks, you can specify what the first day of the week is or what the first week of the year is and all the rest of it. We're not going to worry about weeks of the year because it's really very irrelevant. The only time this ever comes up is in years. So you might think, okay, cool. I can change my date of birth thing to say, let's go date diff. Let's move this over so that we can see it. So you might think, okay, cool. I can go over here. I want the date diff. Years. I spelled it wrong. And I want to go from now to date of birth. Let's run that. Okay, I've got them the wrong way around. You can see I've got negative ages. So we want to go from date of birth to now. Let's run that. And we're still getting 20. So that's not helping because it's clearly rounding the number of years or something. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to get the number of days. And we're going to divide that by 365.25. Because of leap years, there's actually 365 and a quarter years, days, in every year. So we run that. And cool, Jason is 20, 15th of February, and Ahmed is 19, 28th of December. The problem is it's now horribly rounded. So, well, it's not rounded, there's like a billion decimals. Okay, and I only want the age in years, so I probably really don't want those decimals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to int everything, and that's going to make it an integer, run it, and there we go. Cool. Now, if we're on MS Access, let's bring up that window again. So if we're on MS Access, not MS, we're on MS Access. If we're on MySQL, you use date diff. The only difference between MySQL and Access is that date diff does not have this initial parameters. You're not going to type D for the days. You literally just, it gives you the days immediately. So you're going to go date diff, and you're going to go now. You can see over current date. Okay, I think now works as well. Just try it and see which one works. Divide by, and you're still going to divide by 365.25. Make sure you're dividing, the answer to date diff by 365.25. I didn't put 365.25 inside the brackets there. Okay, so that's the difference there. So for SQL, for MySQL, it's still date diff. You don't pass this D parameter. You still divide by 365.25, and you use current. I'm positive you can use now. MySQL now. Yeah, you can use now. Cool. Great. So you're literally, the only difference is you're not going to give that little D parameter there. Cool. Okay, so that's how we, and also, I don't know if MySQL has an int. I think you're going to use floor. So I'm pretty certain you're going to want to type this. This query won't run, obviously, because I'm in Access. Num dob, floor, date diff, between the date of birth and now, divided by 365.25. Okay, from TBL portfolio. And that should give you the same thing. I'm going to go through that again, just so you can see how to build it up. So select leader name, dob, Right, so I want the date difference in days between date of birth and now. Okay, run it, check that it works. I'm an idiot again from TBL portfolio. Run it. Cool, we're getting the number of days and it's the right way around, it's not negative. So now I divide by 365.25. So doing that, it means I'm not going to accidentally put the 365.25 in the wrong place. Like a billion decimals, cool. And then I just want to int it, or if I was on MySQL, floor it. And what that just means you don't round. So if you used round, it would round, I made up to 20 again, which would be the exact opposite. Right, let's go back to the question. Determine the age, name this new field age. So this has to be as age, so there's a mark for that as well. Let's see if that works. Perfect. Right, do not display an age if there is no leader. It's not displaying, so that's perfect. Not 100% certain, but I feel like this. I would have phrased it better, but I feel like they're actually looking for where leader name is not null. And there we go. So now I don't have the null values there. Okay, right. So now we've got that working fine. We're going to copy this and paste it into answer sheet. 1.4, count the number of portfolios in each section. Okay, so I want select, count, and I can go count star usually, or you could go count portfolio. Select count star. Okay, count is a function, so I'm going to type it in caps, although it'll still work. Count portfolio from DBL portfolio. And I wanted portfolios in each section, so I'm going to group by section. That's what I typed, group by. There we go. All right, what does it say? Count the number of portfolios in each section. I feel like we can get away with selecting portfolio as well. I'm an idiot. Select section. Okay, so boarding has got one. Is that right? Boarding has got one portfolio. Yes. Sports has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Student affairs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's working. So I wanted to count the number of portfolios in each section. So I know the count. So if I just went select count portfolio, it's going to give me 20. That's how many portfolios there are, which doesn't help. I want in each section. So I want to count outreach separately to sport. So that's why I use a group by and say, well, I want to group this by section. You guys might be happier by just saying count star. Run that. Cool, there we go. But then you never have to worry about what to type in. Just type the count star. Okay, and then section. Now I can put section in here because that's how we're grouping them by. So it's section is going to be the same for each of these. Like all of the sports are being put together, so it's not like the section is different. But if I try to put the leader name in here, it's going to complain and say your query does not include the specified function leader name as part of an aggregate function, and I can't because like over here for sport, whose name are we going to put? Okay, there's so many options there, so it just won't let you run it. I mean, you could do something now. You could aggregate it. You could do the sum of the length of the leader names. Why you would want to do that is beyond me. Is it len? And there we go. You could do that. So culture has got a length of 20. So let's have a look at the culture people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so as soon as I make this an aggregate function, so like I want to add them all up or something, if I just tried the length of the leader name, once again, it's going to say, hey, I can't do that. Because whose length are we going to use? So that's why you have to use some kind of like average. What's the average length of the leader names? Again, why we would want to do that is beyond me. But yeah, it's an aggregate function, so you can throw it in there. Okay, but you have to have some kind of... So the only thing we can put in without an aggregate function is the thing we're grouping by. All right, so let's go back. We didn't want any of that. Run that again. Cool, we've got the right query. Let's go back to SQL view. And we put that in. Great. So let's have a look at 1.5. A new leader for boarding needs to be considered. This leader will be chosen from the existing leaders. The criteria for the leader of boarding is to have a rating average of 3 or more and to be a boarder themselves. The average rating is calculated using the staff and student rating fields. Code a SQL statement to list all the possible candidates using the criteria. Sort the result according to the average in descending order. And this is a long thing, so let's break it down. A new leader needs to be considered. That's not part of the query. This leader will be chosen from the existing leaders, not part of the query. The criteria for the leader is to have a rating average of 3 or more. So this is going to be our where. So this is our where because this is how we're like splitting things up. The average rating of 3 or more. It's calculated using the staff and student rating fields. List all the possible candidates using the criteria. Wrong thing. Okay, so first thing, list all the possible candidates. Okay. Oh, and to be a boarder themselves. Wow, how did I miss that? Okay, so we're going to select leader name because I want to list the candidates. They're showing that they've also chosen the boarding field. Makes sense that the leader of boarding has to be a boarder. And average rating. Okay, there is no field called average rating. So if I do this, it's not going to run. It's going to say, hey, what is average rating? So what I'm going to do here, average rating is calculated using the staff and student rating fields. I assume it's just the combined average. So I'm going to select staff rating plus student rating as average rating. This is obviously not wrong. And let's run it. And you can see here, for example, that where's Bob? Bob has got a rating of 7. It should be 3.5. Jacob's got a rating of 4. Where is Jacob? It should be of 8. It should be 4. And the reason for that is to get the average of two things, you need to add them together and then divide by 2. All right, and we're getting the 3.5. Don't worry about the extra decimal places there. If they don't specify anything about decimal places or whole numbers, you don't need to worry about rounding or anything like that. Cool. So we're now getting the average rating. I now want where. So this has got to be where staff rating plus student, come on, rating divided by 2 is greater than 3. So we've immediately only got our ratings for 3, and they have to be a border. And border equals true. Run that, and there we go. So we're almost there. Now the only thing I want is sort the values of average in descending order. Order by staff rating plus student rating divided by 2 descending. Run that. There we go. Okay. Just out of interest, if I said order by average rating, it's going to say, what is average rating? In MySQL, this would work. Okay, but we're not in MySQL, so we have to type it out like every single time. Bit of a pain, but you know, there it is. I'd have sorted alphabetically or something, so you didn't have to type this out like 60 times. Well, I suppose it is important for you to see that you know how to order by a calculated criteria. category, whatever, column. Okay, there we go. That's cool. We've got our 8 marks there. You might be wondering, when do you use a where and when do you use a having? So if we wanted to do something on an average, okay, so and I'm not talking over here where we just did a calculation to get our average. That's a little bit sneaky. If I did something like previously, when I was looking at the average of the length, then it has to be a having. Let's go do that again. Okay, sorry. Let's copy our question through over here, and let's do this. Select. Well, I'm a moron. There we go. Select section count. Let's say we wanted the average of the length. Is there another number? Okay, let's say I wanted the average number of learners in each portfolio. So average number of learners in each portfolio. Let's run that. Okay, so on average in boarding, there's 19 learners. Obviously, there's only one field, 19 learners. Culture is 5, and there's an average of 35.6. So you can see over here, where's my culture? Culture is here. The number of learners there is 5. No, I'm an idiot. The number of learners there is 37. Then in debating, in public speaking is 46. There's 50 in drama. There's 29 in clubs and societies. And there's 16 in the pipe band. Divide that by 5. And there's my 35.6. Cool. Now what I wanted to do is, let's say I wanted, let's just run this again. I only wanted the average where the average is greater than 26. So I'm going to lose boarding and student affairs. Let's try that. So where average number learners greater than 26, and this should not run. You cannot have an aggregate function in a where clause. And this is where you use a having. So it's going to be somewhere where you've got an aggregate, and there we go. So that is when you use having. You only use having if you've got an average, an aggregate function. So this is going to be something like sum, count. We could do something like, yeah, let's get rid of my average number of learners. I'd have to go again, having count star greater than 20. Okay. Oh, of course, that's the number of portfolios greater than 3. And there we go. We've only got the ones with where the number of portfolios is there. Okay, cool. Right, let's go back to the question. So hopefully that shows you the difference between when we use having and when we use where. Right, so that's question 1.5. Cool. Question 1.6. How many questions are there? No, it's only 7. So 1.6. List the sections of the school that have more than 50 learners in total. I feel like we've just actually done this, sort of. Display your answer as number of learners in section. Your output should appear as follows with a new field called total learners. In fact, I've sort of answered this. We did average instead of total. So list the sections in the school. We'll worry about this number of learners. We'll worry about that later. Okay, so select. Okay, so I want number of learners in a section. So I'm going to group by section because I want to know how many learners in each section. So I'm going to, let's just go select. I want the number of learners in each section. If I go select number of learners from, this isn't going to work. Group by section, and I try run it, it's going to complain and say, your query does not include the specified expression number of learners as part of an aggregate function. There's a little reminder for us. It has to be an aggregate. And I mean, it makes sense. For sport, how many learners do I display? 11, 27, 47, 39, 23, 43, 25, or 38? Which one? There is no right one. Okay, so what I have to do is I have to say select count number of learners. Or I can as well just go count star. No, count number of learners. I'm an idiot. Because I'm not counting how many sections there are. Now I want to count learners. So here I have to go count number of learners. I have messed it up. Okay, and that's great. You know what I'm going to do? Let's put, I'm going to put the, just for the time being, I'm going to put the section in. what it's done, I used count, which is the wrong thing. Count is just going to count how many there are. So if I go count number of learners, it's just going to say, okay, well, there's a number of learners, that's 1. There's a number of learners, that's 2. There's a number of learners, that's 3. Let's just run this again just so I can see. There we go. Culture is 5. So it's going to say, okay, well, in the culture section, there's a number of learners, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I wanted, in fact, so in fact, I always go count star. What I wanted was some number of learners. That's going to add them up for me. There we go. So boarding has got 19. Culture has got 178. Sports has got 253. Great. Have more than 50 learners in total. And this is where the having comes in. Because if I try where some number of learners is greater than 50, it's going to moan at me. So what you could do, you could always try. If you can't remember that aggregates are having and everything else is where, just try it as where. If it doesn't work, if it comes up with this cannot have aggregate function where clause, you go, oh, that's right. Has to be having. And look, I'm literally just cutting and pasting. It's literally just means you type having instead of where. There we go. Now, interestingly enough, if I wanted to, let's say I wanted the section to start with an S. Where section like S star, and run that, that's fine. This is not an aggregate function. So I can have the where clause. Okay? But it's not an aggregate function. I can't go, let's say I wanted the portfolio. Let's say that I wanted the portfolio to be S. So where portfolio, like S, this is not going to work. And the reason for that is because portfolio isn't in my isn't one of the things I can select. It's not something I'm grouping by, so you can't put it in there. Okay, so if you've got like a grouping by section, you can put a where clause, but only on the thing you're grouping by. Cool. Okay, so once again, where clause you use when you don't have an aggregate function. Having you use when you have an aggregate function. Okay, and then if you've got a group by, you can only put a field there that's not aggregate if it's the thing that it's being grouped by. And similarly, you can only put a where clause if it's the thing it's being grouped by. Because obviously you can't put you can put as many aggregate functions in here, but you can't have a where for an aggregate. Okay, hopefully that's cleared that up. Just go back and like watch that little explanation again if you're not getting it. Right, now what I want though is I want the format because I've got this. This is cool. If I design it there, that's awesome. I'm getting all the stuff, but it's not being displayed what I want. So the first thing, I don't want to see the section anymore. Cool. This is almost 8 marks, but now I want number of learners. So this is where I go. This is my concatenation thing. So select number of learners in, let's just say culture for the time being, hard code. It's not going to work. And I think you typed and. Let's explore that. Number of learners in culture is 178, except it's always saying culture. So now I just need to go in. And I want the section name. And here is when I'm going to put section. And is. And there we go. I want another space. You can see I've got a number of learners in culture. I want a space after the in. Put a space there. Cool. Right. And finally, the field needs to be called total learners instead of expression 1,000 as total learners. Run that. And there we go. Perfect. There's our 8 marks. I hope you saw how I did that. You can build these things up slowly. You don't have to type the whole SQL function in at once. I probably could, because I've done this like a billion times, but do it like I did. First see, can I get that number? Okay. Once I got that number, I said, right, can I restrict it to just those ones? That's when I put the having in. Then I said, okay, right, let's make it look like that. And that's when I did my concatenated statement. But you'll get a lot more from one of my earlier versions if you just go that. You're going to get a lot of marks. You're going to list like 1 or 2 for not doing the concatenation. But if you just try to type everything at once and you get completely lost and nothing works, you're not going to get too many marks. So do that. Can I undo? Oh, for crying out loud. Select. Oh, well, you can see the concatenation again. Let's do it from the beginning, in fact. So I know I want to select, right, number, reminder if you're in MySQL, you can use double quotes, of learners in and section and is and. So I've now done the number of learners. That's my variable for the section. Now I want my variable for the actual numbers, and that's a sum, not a count, of num learners as total learners from TBL portfolio, grouped by section, having some num learners greater than 50. What's it called? Number learners. And run that. There we go. Number of learners in cult, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. Working nice. That's great. Okay, but you probably wouldn't get that doing it first time around. So build it up slowly like I did. Now let's copy that. And paste it. And last question, which I think probably shouldn't be harder. The sports portfolio is becoming more popular and going to increase the number of learners by 20. Code a query to increase the number of learners in the sports portfolios by 20% rounded to 0 decimal places. Okay, this is one where I'd say actually, because I'm changing the data, you probably don't want to test it too much. So I want to go update TBL portfolio. Again, you really should be doing this with your sort of summary of what the commands look like open in your textbook. And then you have to learn that off by heart for the SQL. So I want to set a number learners equal to number learners plus number learners times 0.2, because that'll give me my 20%. What you might want to do, let's create another query here, is you might in fact want to do this as a select. So select let's go portfolio, comma, number learners plus number learners times 0.2 from TBL portfolio. And there we go. So you can see over here, outreach is 38. 38 times 1.2 is 45.6. Cool, so I'm getting the right number. And I haven't changed the table, so I still can do that. That's why I'm testing it as a select. And then I'll have modify it. Increase by 20% rounded to 0. So that's round. My number of learners is 0.2. Not decimal places. Run that. And there we go, 46. Cool. So let's go back to here. Set number of learners equal to around 0 decimal places. Okay, you can either round at the beginning or the end. I'm sure it doesn't matter. Oh, that's it. We're about to update 20 rows. Yes, I'm sure. And there we go, 46. Perfect. And yeah, that's how you do the SQL. So hopefully that taught you a little bit about, okay, this is just asking me to save the queries. I just don't care about them. So I can close. You might, in fact, just in case you do something silly like overwrite or answer file, or like I did, which is just like close access before copying and pasting your actual answer. Maybe you do want to save all the queries separately, but whatever. I'm not going to bother re-upping it just so you can see me typing it into the answer sheet. That's just silly. Okay, so hopefully you've learned something about having, about where, about grouping, and all the rest of it. Yeah, good luck.